I'd like to call to order the Common Council meeting for September 3rd, 2013. Can we please stand for the invocation and Pledge of Allegiance?
Let's pray. Father, we thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight. We pray that you would watch over us as we conduct city business. We pray for the city workers and our families, our police and fire, and all those that keep the city going. We pray for the administration and bless them and the department heads. Thank you for how you bless Jeff and help us to continue to move forward in a positive way. It's in Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Councilperson Smith.
Present.
Councilperson Payne.
Here.
Councilperson Gill.
Here.
Councilperson Glover.
Here.
Council President Sellers.
Here.
Council Vice President Julius.
Here.
Councilperson Owen.
Here.
Councilperson Samuel.
Here.
Let the record show that 8 councilpersons are in attendance. Councilperson Estovny is just now walking in the door. Councilperson Estovny.
Here.
Let the record show all council members present.
It's under Lloyd. We need to find out where that...
Approval of the agenda.
Motion to approve. There have been no changes.
Would have requested one item be removed and sure one item was presented.
You think?
Normally I just look for my name, call it out.
Yeah, take your pick. If you want to remove 3 or 4 of them.
10
that'd be
through
fine.
21.
No, just one. Number 11, you'll remove that. Blame that on the lawyers, there's some legal issues here.
Any more? Just
That's it,
that
I'm
one?
sorry.
Make a motion to approve with the removal of number 11.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the amended agenda with item number 11 under new business being removed. Any other questions or comments? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Minutes to be approved.
Minutes, I'll be abstaining due to my absence.
Had a question. So I'll make a motion to approve first. Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Now, questions?
On the front page, it talked about when the street department removed trees from the railroad area. It says 200 trees. Is that?
That's
Did he say
correct.
200?
Yes, that was on the
That's
claim.
a forest. Okay, that's all I had. I thought it was a typo.
I did.
Well, okay, and was that what is that what the 2,000 was for, the tree removal? And that, you do realize that was on railroad property that we did remove that off of, which probably should not have happened, but just to let y'all know.
I didn't see it. That's all I had.
He's the railroad guy.
All right.
Right there.
Do I, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. One abstention. Claims to be approved.
I had a couple of questions. Go ahead.
That's okay, go ahead. You can go ahead.
I've got under city court, and I think Connie asked you, but there's $10,649.85 for an attorney. First page,
It is page 1.
under court.
Oh, okay.
General legal services. We might check that out because I thought that was taken care of. Connie and I both were under the assumption that was under the Attorney General umbrella, but
Okay. No, is this for something else, Ms. Collins?
This one here was not.
It was not. I know that we had one hand-carried one time that Amy and I were looking at, and things have been blacked out on it, and it has to be detailed, and it can't be blacked out. So I want to make sure that this is a detailed report that we have before we pass that claim. Okay.
the other one that I had is the very last page under Lloyd. Coyle Chevrolet, police vehicles, and I thought we had already done that on one. We authorized, I think it was 11
Maybe
vehicles.
this is one of them.
Is this,
300,000, I think.
is this one of them coming out of that?
It is. I checked the appropriation.
In the back row, thank you very much, Chief.
I have 4 cars that I'm still picking up tomorrow, and that's it for this year. But
Okay.
that is in this approval.
So that's in the allotment that we,
Yes.
okay,
Because
great,
remember, we don't pay until they're delivered, correct, Chris?
That's correct.
Right.
okay, good deal.
Amy, I noticed there wasn't any claims from the mayor's office. Is he just being as well?
Apparently so.
Okay.
On page 10, under probation, the EEOC guidance, $1,622.50. What do you know about that?
That was some complaints that were filed.
So it's normal, I mean, that's okay? That was okay.
Okay, any other questions or comments?
I have a question.
Okay.
Is that claim allowed to come out of the PUD funds?
It involved, I know, at least one probation officer. It didn't?
I didn't think it did, but I don't know.
Scott?
Oh, this does not involve if this does not involve probation or probation officers, then it cannot come out of the PUF funds, can it?
I was just talking to Les, which one are you specifically talking about?
The
Page 10.
3 EEO complaints. That needs to come out of his regular
Yeah,
budget.
that had to come out of regular budget.
Yeah, so that needs to be moved.
Had nothing to do, unless I had something to do with probation officers, it'd be okay.
No. You need to move that and take that out of his regular budget, please.
Okay.
So make that change.
Well, do we want to change it, or do we want to just deny it and kick it back to him, say to resubmit under the proper fund?
What would work best, Amy?
We can change the appropriation before the check run, or
This,
Plus
this,
whatever's
this
easier.
invoice, and Amy, there was another portion of the invoice. I think it might have came out of her also, but
For a long time.
Has it?
Yes.
The services,
Why don't we just-
Yes, it
why don't
needs
we
to be
just
paid.
relabel it and get it
Why?
paid?
Yeah. Yeah, just make
Okay.
it
we can
appropriate.
change that.
we use this vendor when we meet.
Why has it been pending for so long? It just wasn't submitted? Excellent.
Okay, any other questions? Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the claims with the corrections that we've made.
You've got that one hand carry.
It's Parks.
It's part.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, my paper keeps hitting it. Okay. With all the changes, did you get the changes, Amy?
Yes.
What's
All
the
right.
new total?
Well, it's as
same.
It's
presented.
as presented, yeah, we didn't take anything out.
The appropriation number.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. Parks,
I do have one hand carry claim from Parks. It's for River Stage from 8:30 for $1,100, and that brings the total to $24,577.82.
I'm sorry, what was it?
$24,577.82.
Motion to approve.
second. I have a motion and a second to approve the Parks claims in the amount of $24,577.82. Any other questions or comments? All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, motion carries. Ms. Rutherford and Mr. Merkley. Jack Grant.
There you go, boss.
This is a grant. The link cannot be here, she's ill. And you should have in your packet resolution approving the agreement, but I'm not sure if you actually made it into the packet.
The agreement's not in here.
This is an agreement with
Wasn't given the-
applying for a grant.
What's the number?
Looking for the total amount. It's to be, total amount of the grant is, I think it's 40. We're split into three ways with ourselves, Clarksville, and the county. There is no match to the grant. It can be used for basically anything.
Oh, here it is. We'll
Chief,
get
what is our share of the
18,000.
grant going towards?
18,115.
It's my understanding it's, is it radios and batteries for tasers?
Yeah, it's one that we've done every year.
Yeah.
Typically, Clarksville manages it, but this year they opted out. So we lose the money, we decided we'd take it over, so that's why it's showing
Right.
49.
We would be receiving $18,115, which represents 45% of the total grant amount. County would be receiving $3,220. The town of Clarksville, $14,895.
Make the motion to approve 2013 R24.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 2013 R24. Any other questions or comments? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Mr. Corbin.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm going to give you an overview of the bicycle and pedestrian master plan that we've been working on. We actually finished it a little over a month ago. You all helped fund the plan, and we're going to need to have it incorporated into our comprehensive plan. So tonight I want to give you just I'm going to cover a lot of information, and let's see, I'll do this one. I've tried to pare down a 3-hour presentation into about 10 minutes.
You have 8, they said.
Yeah.
Okay.
Clock's ticking.
I'm trying. Okay, so this sort of, what prompted this was the Big Four opening, our new park, and how that's going to attract a lot of people into downtown, both from our community as well as a lot of visitors from Louisville. There was a need to do a bicycle and pedestrian master plan to accommodate this new activity. The first week they put a counter on the Big Four bridge. They counted 4,504 bicycles and over 45,000 pedestrians. So that's a little snapshot of what we can look at. So we got this done hopefully just in time. We had about 15 meetings total on this. It was a very open process. Put ads in the paper, Facebook, reached out to specific stakeholders. We had a government stakeholder meeting, private citizens, retail and dining, and major employers, as well as open public meetings. We had lots of meetings, and we did it all in a very short period of time. There's two main parts to this plan. Part of it is programs and policies. I'm just going to touch on that just briefly. The other part is planning and engineering. But the program analysis followed the League of American Cyclists 5 E's: education, encouragement, enforcement, engineering, and evaluation. I'm not going to go into all those for the sake of time, but that's how that was structured. There's many recommendations on how we can reach out to the community and do programs either at schools or churches or here in government, and what we can do to promote biking and walking. One of the main policies that was recommended was a complete streets policy. We had a workshop on that just a few weeks ago. Basically what that is we would give you all an ordinance at some point in time that it's a complete streets ordinance that says anytime we build a new street or repave a street, any sort of new street construction, it requires us to look at all users. We don't just design for the vehicle. We start assuming that we're going to have cyclists and pedestrians, and then we have to justify why not to put them in there. Either it's because it costs too much or it's just not practical to do it. But at any rate, it starts to become part of that conversation. So then we get into the planning and engineering side of things. Initially, we were looking at just the downtown area, but then as we talked with consultants, we said, well, we don't want to just do this plan for people visiting the city. We actually want to link this out into all the rest of our neighborhoods within the city and see how we can get people from their neighborhoods into our downtown and to the Big Four. So we looked at 4 main arteries to start off with. We did Spring Street and Hamburg Pike, 10th Street, 8th Street Middle Road, and Utica Pike. And each one of those squares symbolizes an analysis zone that we went in. We looked at road width, shoulders, average daily traffic, as well as speed limits. Put all that into a calculator, and we crank out what's called an existing level of service. And that's designed to look at, if you're a casual rider, how do you feel on these roads, or would you be safe on these roads? So as you can see, red is not so good, yellow is in between, and green is good. We have very few areas that are green, especially where we need them downtown. We also looked at pedestrian level of service. We looked at street trees, sidewalk conditions, whether there was a buffer between the sidewalks and the roadways, amount of traffic and whatnot, and we calculated the level of service for those areas as well. Before we get into the actual treatments, I'll just cover a few basic terminologies here. We've got a shared lane, which shows the chevron in the middle of the road. It's got the bicycle with the arrows on it. You've probably seen those in lots of places. And they also accompanied with signage along the roadside. That's what a shared lane looks like, fairly common. You put those in when you don't have enough room to put in a bike lane or something else, but it alerts drivers, hey, this is an area that's a bike route. We've got a bicycle boulevard concept, which takes a little bit more time to comprehend. Even myself and the city engineer had to look at it for a while and say, what's going on here? But basically, you would apply these at specific intersections that would quit allowing through traffic. You can turn in right and out right, but you can't go through. The long-term goal of that is to decrease through traffic on a street, brings the traffic counts down, and makes the street safer for cyclists. That would be an aerial view of what that would look like. Then you've got your conventional bike lane, which is 5 to 7 feet. That's what that looks like. Probably familiar with that. You need more room if you've got on-street parking to accommodate doorways. And then we've got cycle tracks, which is 8 feet off-road, separated with a median. That's what that looks like. And then shared use path, that's basically what you see at the Ohio River Greenway. So this is the facilities plan. It's got all of those treatments that we just mentioned incorporated into them at some point. Because the city was built at different time periods with different styles and different standards for roadways and rights-of-way, we've got a hodgepodge of all kinds of different stuff. So basically what the plan looks at is all of those conditions and retrofits them to accommodate walking and cycling throughout the community. Again, we got walking treatments. Those are in there. Recommendations such as enlarged bump outs, miniature plazas, plantings, and then we've got a cost summary, which the cost summary is a bit misleading. It's a $31 million price tag, and when the consultant told me that, I about flipped out.
We just came in.
I had them break out everything in blue that we could do in-house, and everything in-house that we can do with city staff, our own paint truck, and stuff like that is around $400,000 for about 13 miles of treatment. And I would say that number is even high. Spoke to the old street commissioner before he left about implementing this and told him what was going on. And he said we could do almost all of 8th Street, if I can get to it, almost all of 8th Street, which is directly down the center of the city, and connect a large portion of our population without requesting additional funding and just with in-house staff. So the consultants did, their best to try to guess what this would cost if we were hiring contractors to come in and do all this work, but that number is misleading. So our next steps, we need to amend the transportation element of the comprehensive plan. So that's what you guys will be considering with this at the next meeting. So I wanted to go ahead and sort of give you a broad overview of it. Of course, you can always call me, email me, come in the office. We can sit down and go through any questions that you have in detail. Then we want to start working on the low-hanging fruit, all the stuff we can do in-house to try to get ready for the Big Four opening, which is putting in a handful of lanes and sharrows and some signage. Then we're going to put together a committee to stay on track with this and meet once a month and follow the recommendations and sort of push everything forward and make sure we're actually getting it done and it's not a plan that just sits on the shelf somewhere. And we will actively be identifying funding sources to actually get these projects done, so we're not coming to city council and asking for money, at least we don't have to. So that's a 3-hour presentation in, how many minutes was I?
Few enough.
All right. So, any questions right now?
Looking at this, Shane, you identified 4 major routes.
Yes.
Is there one that you all have identified which would be the first route you may go after?
We did.
Have we ranked those?
We actually did, yes. Part of our committee work, we did a survey with the stakeholders and said, which ones do you think need to be first? And it's in the plan. I can't remember. I want to say it might be Chestnut Street, the bicycle boulevard, which is that sort of outside the box concept. So, that's going to require me actually contacting all those residents around there and setting up a meeting and sort of introducing that to them before we actually do any treatments or anything like that.
Okay, that's kind of in close to the city. I'm looking at the 4 arteries that kind of lead from your outlying areas down to the city. Of those 4, have we identified which ones we want to look at first?
Me personally, and I'm not sure if this was what was in the survey or not, but I think 8th Street is the lowest hanging fruit. We just repaved it. It's got fresh striping on it. Most of it is already wide enough to put in bike lanes, so you don't have to do any new construction on it. There's a few little spots when you look at the map that are identified as needing to be widened, but for the most part, it's already there and it's ready to go. We just have to paint it. I think that's the biggest bang for our buck, to get people funneled into downtown. Any other questions? All right, well, thank you.
Appreciate it, Shane.
Problem.
What? Oh, yeah, his is on here.
Sure.
Back on.
Chief Grimm?
Good evening. I have a couple things that I believe you all have information on. The first is for New World Systems. It's an additional software license agreement. We're in the process of updating our New World software, which is our computer-aided dispatch, our mobile software, and our records software. When they came in to update all of our software, they found out that we were short on licensing. We actually had budgeted, there was a line item in our budget for $20,000 for more licensing, but the quotes came back at $25,000. So we had the line item of $20,000 that was already budgeted, and we're going to take the other $5,000 from our non-reverting, continuing ed fund to pay for the $25,000 to get us up to where we need to be for our licensing for our software, in-house software. Any questions on that?
Do we need to add anything to the budget for next year for that?
No, we should be good at it. This will give us the additional licensing plus a couple more to get us above our numbers where we need to be. And we may, we can finagle with that some too. So, no, this should cover us. And we deleted that from our budget for next year. So,
Do we need to take any action on that tonight? Or is that just informational?
I guess we just need approval to take the extra $5,000 from our non-reverting fund. Because the $20,000 was already a line item, so.
Is there a line item? Or do you need to add?
There was a line item.
There's a line item for the 20.
I'm just saying.
But from your non-reverting.
If there's not any appropriation there, we may have to do additional.
That's what I was going to ask.
Chief, how long is this licensing for?
Oh, we definitely are in the wrong business, I'll tell you that. I think it's a one-time project payment. It's a one-time thing.
So that doesn't have a term? That doesn't have an expiration date of the licensing?
No.
Okay.
Amy, what action do we need to take?
I think she's looking.
On that 5,000.
No, I don't have that. You talking about the 20,000?
The 5,000.
The non-reverting? No, I don't have that.
That's what,
I'm sure it's not. It's out of the education.
It's probably not. It's going to be an additional.
I make the motion to have Scott advertise for the additional appropriation.
Actually, the controller's office.
Yeah, through the controller's office.
Scott, it's advertising.
She says you could do it.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the advertisement for the additional $5,000 needed from the police non-reverting fund. Any other questions or comments?
I have one, Chris. I'm reading through this on page 2,
For the Chronos.
and I don't know enough about this it says, year 1 cost to be prorated to run concurrently with customers' existing SSMA. Subsequent year SSMA fees for the above software will be consistent with SSMA agreement currently in effect.
We have an agreement, we have a maintenance agreement with them, is what that maintenance agreement is. The SSMA is a maintenance agreement we have with New World.
Well, but I'm just saying, that sounds to me like there's a term, but maybe there's not. I don't know.
And the maintenance agreement maybe.
I would say the licensing is going to be for that particular,
For that number of licenses.
particular number of users, I guess, of their software, and as you increase that users or you change that type of software, then you're going to have to pay for it.
But your maintenance fee's $5,000.
Maintenance fee's more than that.
Well, it says 49.
Right, that's in addition to what we currently pay. You're paying,
Yeah.
right
I
now,
was just saying, for next
Right.
year's budget, we want to make sure we get,
and that is, and the 25,000 is a one-time cost that adds these license agreements with them.
okay.
Okay. Did we do the motion?
Yep.
And second,
Yeah.
did we vote?
Nope.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
Second item I have tonight is for Chronos, which is the scheduling and timekeeping software the city has purchased. The last several weeks, we've been working with Morgana and HR to get all of our systems set up. We've run into a problem with, I don't know how to put this, but police department doesn't run like a normal city office does. We don't work Monday through Friday, and so we've run into some issues with staffing, with making it work the way it should, without adding the advanced configuration option to our software. Once we add that, it will fix the issues we've had. We've tried to muddle through it the best we could, but we decided that this was the best option to make sure that it worked correctly after the city purchased it. This is $11,750, and it is pay-as-you-go. So once we start to get into the additional configuration with the advanced config, if we only use 6,000 of it, then that's all that will be. The most we can use is 11.5. I believe the Chronos software for public safety was paid for out of Lloyd funds, and we're just asking for the additional appropriation of 11,750 to be taken from Lloyd to get us to where we need to get to make this functional.
Chris, is this what we talked about the other day in Board of Public Works about different hours being worked, different shifts being...
Right, and we have minimums that we have to keep, and that's where we're running into our problem. You know, each shift has to have a ranking officer there for an officer in charge, and has to have so many other bodies. So each shift has to have that, and the program has a hard time without the advanced config of deciphering, because it is a complex system of how, you know, the days are off rotation and who's supposed to be there and who can fill what spot, and so it starts to become mind-boggling when you try to sit down and figure it out, and so, you know, they did the best they could with what we had, but to make it work and to where we don't see problems in the future.
I'll go ahead and make a motion for additional appropriation. We advertise for additional appropriation 11.5 out of Lloyd for the Chronos software upgrade.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to advertise for the additional appropriation needed out of Chronos. He said 11.5. Do you need...
11,750. 11,750.
Okay. $11,750, not to go above that. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you all.
Thanks. Okay, unfinished business, Ms. Deering.
Unless anything's changed, I'll make it easy and make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second to approve ordinance 2013 OR 29. Any other questions or comments? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. New business, Mary Wolf and Mary Tuttle. Mary Wolf and Mary Tuttle.
That's this. I'm Mary Tuttle, Mrs. Maria Wolf, with the News and Tribune, and we're here tonight to talk to you about partnering with New Albany, Clarksville, and Charlestown as a sponsor in our Fitness Source magazine. We've done that in the past, and love to have you back on board. We know that you're leaders in wellness initiatives in southern Indiana, and with your new plans for the pedestrian and bike path, I think that would be a great place to promote that. We've,
Was this something that was done under the previous administration?
yes,
And it was done when we had our wellness program
yes.
under Culpeper Cooper, I believe.
Right, yeah. I think you guys did it for actually 2 years.
And I think we did have problems knowing where the money was supposed to come from, because it was supposed to actually be paid for out of that sum of money for the wellness program.
Through the health insurance?
Through the wellness program, the money was taken out. So we'd have to find a whole new place to take this from. And how much is it?
Well, it's $300 a month. The sponsorship is $1,200 a month, but since you'd be partnering with 3 other cities, your portion would be $300 a month. Then you'd have for that you get a logo in the front of the magazine. Once every 4 months you get a full-page ad for whatever you would want in the magazine, because it is a monthly publication. And then you would get once a year a four-page advertorial spread that could be about anything you wanted to promote. You'd get the equivalent of a full page in the newspaper. You can use it whenever you want in that 12-month period. You can do it as a full page, you could do 4 quarter pages, 2 half pages. Get an online ad for a year. And am I forgetting anything, Maria?
Is this a contract?
It is a 12-month contract.
So that wouldn't come, I mean, we appropriate the money, but we don't sign contracts. So,
I mean, it's $3,600. The equivalent of the advertising, if you were to total it up, is about $9,600. So it's a good value for the investment. And it does give you multimedia, newspaper, online.
But just so everyone knows, we wouldn't have no control about what went in the
Unless you go through the parks.
content. Yes.
It goes through the Board of Public Works, or it's got to go through the parks? It would fit into parks.
It would be a good fit for the parks, because whether it's the river stage or any of the other projects we have, everything kind of goes through the parks.
This come out every month?
Yes.
The bike trail would be a good one.
Yeah, the bike trail, the pedestrian.
I was thinking of your calendar of events for your Parks Department. You could get away without doing a whole mailing.
Well, I don't know. I don't think this goes to, this doesn't go to every house though, does it?
No, it's racked and mailed.
Oh, it doesn't go in the paper?
No, it's
No,
not
it
inserted
goes
into the
in.
paper.
Right.
But you would have an online ad on News and Tribune.
When you say mailed, how big's your mailing?
The mailing is about 3,600 and the rest are racked.
Is that everybody who's signed up for a paper will get this?
Not everybody. We did like a survey and determined who is most interested of our readers in health and well-being, and that's who's, but people can continually sign up and receive it for free, and obviously the more advertising we get, the bigger we can make it, but you could contact us right now and we would start mailing it to you. So
But the 3,600, is that Jeff, Clarksville, and New Albany total?
yes. That's who it's being, but it is like racked in the YMCA's, various, the hospitals, doctor's offices. I could get you a list of the locations. But you do get the online ad for a whole year, too, that would link to your website.
We want to consider something like this and then go through the Parks Department.
I think we need to bring it back up to Parks.
Parks, because that way we can, hit a lot of our
And we could have some time to discuss, how we think it would fit.
Agree.
Yeah.
Okay, well...
So our Parks Authority meetings are the last fourth Tuesday of the month. Fourth Monday of the month, sorry. Today's Tuesday, is today Tuesday?
Because the parks can
Yeah.
sign contract we can't. And we're the parks, but,
Yeah,
okay.
okay, so does that mean we need to come back to that meeting and
Yes.
present it? Okay.
We'd love to see you there.
Well, yeah, we're learning a lot tonight, aren't we, Maria? This is September 23rd.
In the meantime, you can go see Paul Northam, the Parks Director, and maybe give him a copy of the contract and talk to him, give him some information. And then
Okay.
he'll help present it at the meeting, at the Parks Authority meeting.
Okay, Paul Norton.
And then make sure that anything in contract, give it to Scott, give it to Paul, and give one to Scott too, because he's the attorney. So he
Okay.
can review it if there's any questions or anything, we can tweak it forward,
Okay, that sounds great. Do you guys have any, oh, and you do have, the other thing, you have the right to submit content. It's at the discretion of the publisher, whether they would, accept it. But if you had articles that you wanted to submit to possibly run in the magazine, as well as all the advertising, that's another portion of it, so that's pretty valuable.
Great, thank you.
Okay, well, thanks for having us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Here, if you all want to call us tomorrow, you can call the office as Sandy, and she can get you the paperwork.
Okay. Thank you very much.
I don't have thing that came before us, but because it was the old
Ready?
man.
I'll wait for permission from this president.
No, it wasn't. Okay.
Ready?
Mr. Samuel.
I have two members of the Park Jeffersonville Public Art Commission here tonight. Ms. Dawn Spiker, and she's an art teacher for River Valley Middle School, formerly Jeff High School. And Shane Corbin, our Planning and Zoning Director. They're going to give a quick update on where we are and some of the ideas that we're getting ready to hopefully run with. So turn it over to them.
Hi, good to see you guys again. So I think Nathan's kept you guys up to speed a little bit on what we're doing. It's myself, Don, Jay Ellis, Melissa Deaver, and Nathan on the committee, and we've been working on this initiative for about 6 months. Again, we tried to keep this presentation very minimal in order to be efficient with time. We could go on and on and on about a lot of stuff, but we're going to make it quick. So in 6 months, we attended a workshop in Hanover about developing arts and cultural districts. We looked at how other communities have used art as a catalyst for economic development. We're currently seeking some funding to bring in a consultant to help us with that concept here. We developed a request for qualifications for artists within the region, or anybody could submit to start to build a pool of talent to pull from. When we've identified projects that we think we want to do, we can start to look and say, oh, maybe this would go good there, or, oh, shoot.
There you go.
Sorry about that. So when we've identified locations and projects that we want to do, we can start to look at that pool of talent and start to formulate ideas. We also developed a request for proposals for a public art administrator to devote really a concentrated effort to bring some of these projects to life. We got 6 responses. We interviewed a total of 3, and we believe that we have narrowed it down to 1. We have not begun any negotiations with a contract yet, but we hope to be doing that soon. We wanted to assemble the funding first, which thank you all for participating in that. It's pretty cool that we've got you all contributing, as well as Urban Enterprise Association and the Redevelopment Commission. We've really reached out to everybody, and it shows that we've got a lot of support from throughout the community to do this. We took a trip to St. Louis, a day trip. We went to City Gardens and the City Museum. Both of these were examples of how art projects were redeveloping areas that were in distress. and needed some economic development. We've also determined some initial projects that we want to get off the ground, which Dawn is going to talk about here in a minute, both powered by creativity and artworks. And we've also gone ahead and identified some initial grant sources for funding to get some of these projects off the ground. We haven't actually submitted those yet or heard back from them, but we're actively working on some of these things, even though we don't have the public art administrator in place. And we expect, even after we get one in place, we'll be active in these projects as well. So with that, I will turn it over to Dawn.
All right, so I've got a lot more pictures, a lot more fun stuff to talk about. Two of the ideas that we have with the JPAC, some what I guess you guys refer to as low-hanging fruit, so high-impact, low-budget projects are what we're calling powered by creativity, which we want to kind of determine and isolate a select group of utility boxes to use as mini murals around town. We had, like Shane had just discussed or said, we had over a dozen artists respond to the call for artist entries, and of those was pretty exciting. We had sculptors, painters, fiber artists, and a really great selection of people that we could choose from that would do a really professional job. Excuse me. And what I wanted to show you on here was just some examples from around the country of what other towns have done. And I, of course, added my own verbiage to the bottom of ideas. We have so many different schematics going around right now of, the bridge and aerial views of everything. I thought the one on the left fit perfectly with that. We could do something with the Rose Hill neighborhood, and it'd be more literal. Of course, we've got the river. There's all sorts of things that you can do. We kind of envision pairing the artist with a community member or a business and getting ideas and their input for the mini mural. Also, we envision this happening in a 3-day weekend event, a Friday, Saturday, Sunday type of a thing. So it's real high impact, high energy. We get good publicity, and it's very, very quick. But Cherry Hill neighborhood with the cherries, Native American heritage in this particular region, we could do something with that. The Rubik's Cubes are just fun. But the possibilities are really endless. And I know there was a lot of concern with upkeep. And during my time at Jeff High, many of you probably have been there many times, but the courtyard, which is outdoor courtyard, we painted Vincent van Gogh's Starry, Starry Night in that courtyard 9 years ago, and we properly power washed, cleaned, primed, and used high-quality outdoor paints. And it looks just as good now, 9 years later, as it did when we first did it. So I think if we prepare these surfaces correctly, they'll last. The second idea that we had that we'd like to get off the ground are art walks, which are literally crosswalks that are really creative and fun and could provide a really interesting distinctiveness of place. They can be humorous, or they can be more of a motif to kind of fit with the historic downtown. Oh, I want to go back real quick. We were kind of envisioning too we could select or commission artists to design templates, which the street department could utilize, or the artist could do, or they could be done freehand. But these are just some really fun examples of the art walks. Yeah. And they do have to be upkept, of course. After a winter season or something, you probably want the artist to come back in and touch them up, or put that template back down and freshen them up again.
They do something similar with the Culture Trail in Indianapolis, don't they, where those crosswalks are?
Yep. Yeah, exactly. But just something fun and whimsical and something to make people want to come across the bridge and ask, why are we doing this? Or something that I could envision or see this right across from Shemp's with some dancing candies, or, could go anywhere really and connect different businesses together. That's it.
Is that Nathan?
Hero. Happy trees. That's all.
That's the two projects there, the utility boxes and the crosswalks are something that we could do right away with a lot of impact. And we were talking, and I was thinking, if you're walking across the Big Four Bridge, you can look Riverside Drive, I guess it is. You can see a lot from up there, and it'd be kind of cool to have pick out a couple nice choices where it would be neat to put something that you could actually see it from high up. But as you can tell, between Shane and Don, we got a lot of energy and a lot of excitement, a lot of knowledge in our group. And I can't wait to start. So, any questions for Shane or Don?
Were the boxes, were those paintings?
Yes, those are paintings.
Okay, does it take away from the integrity of the artist if they were done in like that film wrap?
I don't know. I think you could do them either way. Personally, I think it might be a little bit more expensive actually to do them in the film wrap than it
I've
would
seen them
be.
done in other areas where they've actually done the film
Yeah, I
wrap
have
around
too.
boxes, and it's very durable.
And that's something to consider, to have them come up with the design and then do it
We
that
need
way.
permission from the utility companies to paint their boxes?
No, that's what I was going to say. The utility boxes we're talking about right now, we own. They're the signals for the lights. We're in communication with Duke Energy now. For example, where we put the ice skating rink down on the corner of Spring, there's a huge electrical box down there. It's huge.
Yep.
We're checking in particular, can we paint that one? Maybe, and we'll find out if we can or can't. But we think this is something, once we get it started, it could catch on and we could do more. And
Yeah, we kind of envision starting maybe with 6, maybe 10, maybe 12, and then adding to them every year. Something that could be a lot of fun. Have an art walk just of our utility boxes. Anyway, thanks for your time.
Scavenger.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Don had mentioned something about trying to get a local neighbor involved or neighborhood. We thought that if we identify one of these switches that would be in different neighborhood where we have associations, that could rally the association and let them talk about and talk with the artist to kind of come up with a theme. Not let them dictate it necessarily, but let the artist kind of lead that, and then that'd be kind of theirs. So, thank you, guys.
Do we need an ordinance number on that, Nathan?
31. This is for a non-reverting fund. What we have before us is we had mentioned that we went to redevelopment, we went here, we went to the UEZ for some funding. We're going to park this money and spend it out of this non-reverting fund, and Scott has written it up for us out of that. So I would make a motion to approve 2013 OR 31 on, this takes 3 readings, Scott?
Yes.
On first and second?
Second.
I have a motion to approve ordinance 2013 OR 31 on first and second reading. Any other questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Merkley. Oh, no, I'm sorry, Amy. I'm sorry. I have it written down. Yeah, we're good.
What you have before you is an ordinance. I presented these on a resolution at the last meeting for additional appropriations. This has been advertised and asked that it be approved on first and second reading tonight.
Could we add the other 2 items?
No, I'd have to do a resolution to initiate and
Oh,
advertise.
that's right, I'm sorry.
This has already been advertised.
Such a process. Is this 32? Nick?
Yes.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to pass 2013 OR 32 on first and second reading.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to pass ordinance 2013 OR 32 on first and second reading. Any other questions or comments? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
I do have a comment or a question. We have overtime that we're appropriating additional money for in looks like 3 departments. Is that, will that cover us for the year from your understanding, or?
Yes. Okay, Mr. Merkley.
If I could make a request, items 4, 5, 6, and 7, I would recommend that those items be moved to the very end, right after number 21. It's because if number 21 is not adopted or does not pass, 4, 5, 6, and 7 are not going to be needed.
Why don't we move 21 up
Yeah, let's do
to
that.
now?
Fine with me.
Okay. Does anybody have a problem with that on the council?
No,
Okay,
I think
let's-
it needs to be tied, somehow it got split up, but it does need to be tied.
Yeah, let's go ahead and move that up and go ahead and do
But
that.
doesn't 20 go with 21, Liz? The public hearing part of it?
What was that, Lisa? I'm sorry.
Don't we have to move 20 along with 21?
Well, yeah,
The
20 and
public hearing.
21,
Yeah.
because
Okay.
Whatever. That's good.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So now we're at 20 and 21. This is a ordinance change, or rezoning, 219 Fulton Street. This is a public hearing, and the petitioner is here. I will turn, if you want to make a presentation on the zoning. Okay. They're going to have more details on this tonight.
I guess this is both of them together.
Good evening, Madam President, ladies and gentlemen. For the record, my name is initial J, Bruce Corky Scales. I'm retired and a part-time consultant. I'm retired from the Estopanol Group. My own consulting business for 6 years and was the building official, city engineer, and director of planning and zoning for the city of Jeffersonville. I've been retained by Mr. George Birch, president of IAC Industrial Air Centers Incorporated at 731 East Market Street in Jeffersonville. This is the corporate headquarters for IAC. They have offices in 3 different states with a total of 5 offices. I'm here to request the City Council overturn the denial that we received from the Plan Commission to rezone 2 parcels behind IAC. IAC is currently located in the old Kelly Boat Shop place on Market Street and Swinson Business Forums. 5 years ago, Mr. Birch and his company bought the old Van Gilter property between the 2 alleys. There's a south alley and a north alley between Chestnut and Market. And when he bought that and tore the building down, the economy kind of went south, and this project was to be started 5 years ago and has yet to do so. What we're requesting is that the current building that IAC has is neighborhood industrial, and the 2 parcels, the Van Gilter property, and George has an option to buy the house at, I believe it's 219 Fulton Street. We're requesting those 2 parcels be rezoned to N1, or neighborhood industrial NI, so that the whole parcel for the project is zoned the same. To give you a little history on IAC, they've been in business in Jeffersonville since 1991. George is a lifetime resident of Jeffersonville and resides in Arctic Springs. They have 72 employees currently. Their minimum wage at their office is $16 an hour. This project, if it goes forward, which we sincerely hope it does, will add another 30 to 35 employees, and those positions will pay between $50,000 and $100,000 a year. IAC is a distributor for large air compressors, and this new facility of 20,000 square feet will include warehousing for parts and distribution thereof. There'll be another building along the back side, which would be where the property we are requesting the rezoning, that will be a 3-sided carport, if you will, so that they can have their employees park and do storage, and nothing will be sitting out in the open that people can see. Where there is no buildings to be open, that there will be a chain link fence with webbing in it. You have in your package, I believe, the architect's rendering of what the old structures look like now and what the new structures look like. I think this is going to be a tremendous addition to that corner, on Market Street. There will be no loud noises other than maybe a forklift and a pressure washer. Like I said, it's primarily storage for the distribution of their air compressors and supplies. I have here another rendering that you do not have because the neighbors at the Plan Commission was concerned of what it would look like. The lady crossing the alley is the north alley behind the Chestnut Street properties, and you can see the carport, if you would, three-sided structure behind it. So the vision from those people are still looking at the flood wall and Jeff Boat, but they can still see down Fulton Street. This is a no-brainer for a rezoning, I feel, so that we can move on with this project. I would respectfully like for you to suspend the rules and vote on all three readings tonight so we can continue with this project. We have an alley that needs to be vacated. I think Les is going to address that tonight so that we can get this closed in and incorporate part of that alley as the property. This alley that we're asking to vacate will be on the west side of Kemp Heating and Cooling over to Fulton. Mr. Birch and Mr. Kemp has a written agreement between the two of them for ingress and egress. There will be gates on both sides where the other alley comes in if an emergency needs to get in with fire. There's also an alley, Mike has seen that whole area and what's going on. There's also an alley that crosses and goes over to Chestnut Street. This alley has, in that area, hasn't let be growing up and needs to be cleaned up. If you had any more questions of me, Mr. Birch is here if he would like to say any more, but I think this is a no-brain project to spend $1 million in Jeffersonville and a company that wants to stay here and not move out.
I have a question about, I see in the rendering a semi-truck.
Yes.
The truck traffic that'll be coming there, will they be?
They come in now up Fulton Street off of Market and then back into that.
Okay.
We have a variance that's going to be going before the BZA because of where we're at and the property we have. There's supposed to be really, I believe, 60 foot that the truck can maneuver in, but can't do that due to the restriction of the property. But the trucks will be off public right-of-ways when they're loading and unloading. And there'll be another area for the smaller trucks like FedEx and UPS also.
For the most part, they'll be using Market Street for
Yes,
in and out.
yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? I know it's a public hearing. Any other questions from the council? This is a public hearing. Are there any neighbors who would like to speak for or against this project? Ma'am? Or sir? I'm sorry. I didn't see you. Come on up.
Good evening.
Please state your name and address, too, for the record.
My name's Tom Kemp. I'm the owner of a local business located at 729 East Market Street. That makes me the neighbor of IEC. I'm here tonight to encourage the council to pass this project. I think there's many reasons for you to pass it. For the sake of brevity, I'll just mention two. One, like Mr. Scales mentioned, you're helping a local Jeffersonville business, a local man who's been here all his life, hiring local people, investing a considerable amount of money in Jeffersonville. Two, you're going to enhance the look of the neighborhood greatly, specifically the northwest corner of the intersection of Fulton and Market. I don't know who's familiar with the Kelly shop, but the proposed project is light years ahead of what's there now. So I think it would be an asset to Jeffersonville, specifically that area. I've found that the owners of IAQ, who I've been neighbors with since 1991, are very truthful men. They're full of integrity. They proposed a first-class project for Jeffersonville, and you can rest assured that they will deliver a first-class project. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Ma'am?
I'm Sue Muncie, and I live at 731 East Chestnut. And I find this is not for our neighborhood property values are already down in my area because you can see the neighborhood and you can only guess what type of people live there, what I deal with on a daily basis. I can't even put my house up for sale. Nobody wants to buy it. I could give it away if y'all be interested in buying, but to me, this is not the answer. You get this industrialized, where's it going to stop at? You know, is it going to keep encroaching on down Market Street, back over? Because someday it might be, you know, I know Mr. Smith lives in there. It could be back as far as Court, or where's it going to end? There's plenty of prime industrial up there in on 62, River Ridge. Might be too costly, but I've lived there since '86. I like it. Like I said, it's getting progressively worse. The people that lived there when we first purchased have since passed on. It's rental property. And it didn't pass at the last meeting, and I think you ought to stick to your guns and keep this project off the table. It sounds wonderful, those $55,000 to $100,000 a year jobs, but that's only 30. You know, move it somewhere else and hire them 30 people. I just don't see it fitting in to my neighborhood.
All right.
And that's about all I got to say.
Okay, thank you.
Would
Thank you.
not reconsider y'all's first
Thank you.
vote.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak on behalf? Okay, with that, the public hearing is closed.
Make a motion to approve the rezoning request?
What's the ordinance number, 33?
Yes.
Oh, are you going to do, he requested all three to suspend the rules?
It's only one for reason.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second to approve ordinance 2013 OR 23, or 33, I'm sorry. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Comments?
I'd like a roll
Comments?
call, please. Roll call vote.
All right, roll call. Any other comments?
I'm curious, typically, we try to follow the recommendation of the plan, or of the folks that investigate this, and a couple of you are on that. I'm just curious,
What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I was going to say something. But, you know, when you do a rezoning, you're looking at the use of the property, not the building, not how it's going to be laid out. You're thinking, is these parcels of land, is it a proper use to go to N1? And when you look at what's there now, and you look at and Jeff Boat being there, to me it makes sense. A lot of the people who came to speak were concerned about how it was going to look with big buildings and fences and all that kind of stuff. Well, that's really going to be that's really the next step when it goes back to planning and zoning, and they have to lay out a plan. This is just the first step in rezoning if the parcels, if N1 is a proper use for those parcels. And I think the planning and zoning got a little mixed up with that, that's my opinion, because there were a lot of people talking about the building and the views, and really not about the use of those parcels.
Yeah, and my concern was, I thought the alley was going to be completely closed off, and then I found out there was a subsequent meeting that was not. It was going to be open.
There's two parallel alleys, that there's an older house that is in between, and the one alley is not to be touched. The other alley is partially going to be controlled by the two businesses. One thing I asked Corky was about to put the Knox box up by the gates for the fire and police, public safety, and that way they can get access and to all the facilities, and they verbally agreed to put up some Knox boxes. So it was an enlightening experience when I went down there and looked and seen what was down there, and which is in my front yard, and I didn't even know it was there. So it's definitely a huge improvement.
I'll second that. Mike and I walked down and we met Mr. Kemp there, walked the area quite a bit. It could use some improving, and I think this would be a good improvement.
Okay, roll call, Ms. Conlon?
Yes.
Councilperson Smith?
Yes.
Councilperson Sestavny?
Yes.
Councilperson Payne?
Yes.
Councilperson Gill?
Yes.
Councilperson Glover?
Yes.
Council President Sellers? Yes. Council Vice President Julius?
Yes.
Councilperson Owen?
Yes.
Councilperson Samuel?
Yes.
Let the record reflect all ayes. Ayes, rather. Okay.
The next item is you have two ordinances to vacate a public right-of-way. It is in connection to this property. Behind the property, there is an alley, and there's also the old levee. We're asking that the alley be vacated. We're also asking that the old levee be vacated, which since the old levee was actually it dates back to 1875, we no longer use it. It's no longer needed. We have dedicated that old levee to the public, so it is now a public right-of-way. The Board of Public Works did that. So we're asking that the old levee be vacated and the alley be vacated. First one on your agenda is the old levee to be vacated, and that's a public hearing as well.
Okay, is there anyone here to speak against or in favor of vacating the levee property? Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Again, I'm Sue Muncy, speaking on behalf of my property, which y'all done decided, which is not helping me getting up here and speaking. Y'all gonna close it off anyway, but I strongly disagree. I spoke with other neighbors. They feel the same way, and they're so lackadaisy about it. Well, we can't sell our houses now, and we certainly won't be able to sell them after this industrial zone gets in there, so we're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. And I think you really ought to think about it, because it may just come to your neighborhood and there won't be anybody there to vote for or against. So I really strongly wish y'all would reconsider this project. Like I said, there's plenty of industrial. To me, there's no need. Build some houses there. You know, put some families. You know, I just strongly disagree with this project. It's industrial. This is residential. It's been residential. I mean, that's all I got to say on the matter. But just think about it. It could come to your all's neighborhood.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else? Public comment is now closed. 34. Have a motion?
Les, this is the ordinance, the petition to vacate a public right-of-way, and the public right-of-way we're speaking about now is the old levee, correct?
Formerly the
Block
old levee.
41.
Yes.
Okay, so I'll make sure I had them all in order.
Yeah.
Okay, and when we vacate this property, we also vacate our responsibility to maintain.
That's correct.
Okay.
We'll go to the adjoining property owners, and it'll be zoned based on the adjoining property.
And we vacate our liability in that
Yes.
also. As soon as it's vacated before construction starts, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Is this one reading?
Yes.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
A motion and second to approve ordinance 2013 OR 34 and vacating the old levee property. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Next is another vacation. This would be for the actual alley that's in the rear there. We're asking that to be vacated as well.
Motion to
This is a
approve.
public hearing as well.
Oh, oops. Rescind the motion. Trying to push it
Again, this is a public hearing. Would anyone like to speak for or against this property being vacated? Seeing none, public comment is closed.
Now I make a motion.
I have a motion and second to approve 2013 OR 35, an ordinance to vacate approximately 2,300 square feet of property. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Is it?
Next on the agenda are two identical resolutions amending the Falls Landing Economic Development Plan and amending the Intercity Road Economic Development Plan for the sole and exclusive purposes of including the construction of the new city marina, which is, why do you want to call it marina, but basically we're building new docks and boat ramps along the Ohio River. Application has been made to the Corps for the project. The Corps will have the final say as to whether or not the project goes forward. There'll be a public comment period. That notice will be sent out for any comment or response to the Corps based on the application that's been made. The project will be done in 2 phases, the construction, so nobody will be displaced while the construction's going on, the existing boat owners. And also the redevelopment commission is willing to accept responsibility for maintaining the docks once they're renovated as well.
Has the feasibility study been done yet? So we know how many people might be interested in this,
No.
the cost. And I know that there was a group of people that, according to an email that we got when this last came up, that there was a board or a group of people set up who were going to discuss pros and cons. Have they met yet? Has the mayor met with them?
I know the mayor has met with dock owners or boat owners on more than one occasion, and I think
Dock renters.
dock renters, boat owners, dock renters. I think that's how they came up with doing the construction in 2 phases. And I think there was one issue that was a major issue, which I think has been resolved with one of the dock renters and boat owners. That is,
Yeah, there's one, I'm hesitant because there's, I emailed Les earlier today, supposed to be letters going out and, to the people basically saying they can stay, and he didn't have time to work on it today, but I'd like for the people that, they've been promised these letters
Right.
now for 3 weeks.
Right.
And so I'm a little hesitant until they get the letters in hand. So-
Well, I'm hesitant until we figure out what the price, the cost is going to be, until we do a feasibility study. And, I mean, they can go ahead and try to get the permits. I don't have issues with that, but we need to know what the cost is going to be to the taxpayers in Jefferson.
the construction cost is $2 million.
$2 million.
We need to know, well, I know I hear that.
I mean, I'm just
I
going,
know,
I'm not an engineer.
I know,
I'm
and
just
the
telling you what the
fire
engineers.
or police station was
say.
$7 million, but now it's $11 million. So,
You know,
I want to know what the cost is going to be.
my understanding is that we can get up to $500,000 from, I got to talk to Shauna Graff about, not from the
Yes.
docks, but for up on the river for lighting, landscaping, and a lot of things. I think there's $500,000
Is that from the
available.
Greenway?
Yes.
So that would even cut that 2 million down, so there's still some
And
loose
there's
ends.
also, I mean, I think there's a couple other grants that DeLand has
Yeah.
acquired as well.
So I think we're not there yet, but there's a lot of loose
I
ends.
think they could even put in there not to exceed the dollar amount if they wanted.
So we get started on a project and then we don't exceed, I just, I don't see.
All I can do is what the engineers say it's going to
Yeah,
cost.
I know.
I mean,
I know.
I-
And
sure.
I've been listening to engineers since 2004.
well, I have to, but I mean,
Yeah, there's some loose ends. We got $500,000 that's out there. I just heard about this Friday, and plus there's letters supposed to go out to the letters I had talked to Les. So there's a couple loose ends that I would like to see finished, along with some other things. But these are at $500,000 would be 25% of the project, possibly.
We could approve this contingent on your letters going to the dock renters.
Well, the only problem with that is this is a resolution to amend the plan to start moving forward,
Right.
which I agree with.
Right.
I think it's kind of putting the cart before the horse to send a letter out saying we're going to do this if there's not approval to do it.
Right.
Am I correct? So it's a little bit, if we send out letters and it's not approved, then the letters are all for naught.
And we're just causing for confusion.
Well, the letters actually were
Yeah, I would think it would be, yeah. So if you approve this and if the letters don't go out, then they're going to have to move no matter what.
They were letters of displacement.
No one's
And-
being
and-
displaced.
It's been kind of...
That's
You
not what
can't
they've been told. They've been
displace
told
anybody
both.
unless you move forward with this.
no one's going to be displaced. This reason it's going to be done in 2
Well, and I think
construction
that's Mike's
phases.
point. We're waiting on the letters. Once the letters can go out, I think
Because there was an individual that
Yeah.
was contacted that said that she had to pack up and move.
Right.
And that was been 3 weeks ago, and I'll let you listen to the email, or the voicemail I got from her. And, I mean, she don't know what to do. And since then,
Yes.
I think that issue's been resolved verbally, but she hadn't seen or heard anything. And that means a lot to me that there is something in writing because of the uncertainty, so. I love the project, needs some tweaking. I think majority of the council, gets it. We do have some unanswered questions and a few things that need to be done.
Well, we table it.
And, so I just make a motion to table it.
I make a motion to table it for 2 weeks to our next meeting. Second.
Is the ordinance, are you going to do both, 25 and 26? Resolutions 25 and 26.
I'm not sure what we're trying to accomplish by tabling and not moving forward.
I think what he's saying, he wants the city to act. You have something in writing to a couple people who are concerned.
About
That have been told that they're going to be displaced, that they're not going to have
They verbally were told they were going to be displaced, then they're verbally told they're not going to be displaced. They want something in writing.
Yeah, but how was the idea that we just approve it contingent on the letters being sent, how was that not satisfying?
Well, I'm not sure if they are displaced or they aren't displaced, is that going to determine the project moving forward?
It does to me. You don't promise somebody, tell them one thing and then tell them something else, and you wait over 3 weeks for a letter stating that with no communication.
Well, stating what? I guess I'm concerned about the fact that if we have a project that's being held up, well, we can't send out a letter displacing people.
It's not being held up.
But we can't send out a letter displacing people unless you have the authority to move forward with the project.
The letter is to confirm you will not be displaced if the project goes forward.
Right.
That is what the letter would say.
But there is no project unless you pass this resolution.
Well, there is no project if we don't get approved by the Corps either.
Exactly. So
We don't have anything.
we have time in there to work with those people that have concerns. We just continue to drag our feet over,
No, I don't think we're not dragging our feet, we're waiting on the permits.
Make a motion to
and
table it.
It's already done, we've got them.
Well, if it's continuing to move forward, then what's the point of holding this?
Well, we're waiting on the permits, and I'm still concerned about the cost. And I know.
project.
Well, I'm still
Right.
concerned about the redevelopment cost because it affects our taxpayers now,
Honey,
even though it's redevelopment.
We have a cost estimate. That's like we had a cost estimate on the soccer field, but when it went out to bid, it was $3 million more. It's not, that estimate's not going to
It
change.
was $2 million more than we cut it, and to bring it into our scope.
Bill, either way, no matter what kind of cost.
But you're not going to have any harder costs now.
And I want to know a feasibility study, because we're going to build the docks. Do we know, and it was 64 last I heard, is it still 64? Did they cut it in half?
My understanding is 64,
Yeah.
like the NCAA
Do we
tournament.
know, do we know the amount that's going to be charged for these? And do we know that if it's going to be much more expensive than what they can pay in Louisville, or what they can pay upriver, that people are going to want to pay that, especially in these economic times? I'm just saying.
Well, the only other place on the Indiana side you can dock a boat
is in Madison.
Admiral's Anchor.
Or,
Yeah, and across the...
No, there's one up in Utica.
The Conservation Club has docking. There's also docking.
Ruby Yacht, or
yeah.
the old Ruby Yacht.
I'm just looking at the simple fact, when you drive across the bridge and you look down at Jeff's side, it looks like, excuse my word, it looks like a dump. The docks are falling apart. It's a huge
That's
liability
right,
on my part on
but the city can
behalf of
clean
the
that,
city.
the city can clean that up. That's the city's
I'm
responsibility
not
right
talking cleaning
now.
up. I'm not talking about picking up trash. I'm talking about the construction of the docks. I wouldn't pull a boat up there. I'd be afraid to walk on them, to be quite honest with you. And this is a plan to move forward to give something where we're revitalizing the whole downtown, but
Which
yet
I agree with that.
the portion from the river we see, we want to let look like that.
Well, I agree with that, but I think that we need to know what the cost is going to be, and if it's
have an
going,
estimate on
and
the
if it's,
cost.
and if it's going, if people are, how many people are going to be docking there, do you know? What if, what if
We don't have a
10?
plan. We don't even have a plan.
Exactly, and that's what we need the feasibility study for, which are usually done before the plans come into being.
I don't understand the argument here, because we don't stop redevelopment from doing due diligence on any project.
No.
Nothing stops them from spending a little money and to get plans done, to do studies, or to get approval from the Corps.
But if I'm on redevelopment, I'm going to go out and spend all this money doing plans and feasibility studies unless I have an agreement from the council that says we can move forward.
That's what you do to get
That's what you do to get approval.
Happens all the time.
It's
Happens all the
already been spent, Brian.
Yeah.
Well, you all seem to have it wrapped up. You got the table.
Okay, are there any more comments? I have a motion.
I want to say one thing.
Okay.
I support the project. I support
I
the
do too.
idea, the
I do
idea of the
too.
project. But I don't understand why this is here at this stage, to be honest, so. I support tabling at this point, and I support the project in general, but when I get more specifics, I'd be a lot more comfortable, and especially for the council person whose district it's in. I respect his concerns.
I've got one of them docks.
And it'd look a lot better if we move forward with this plan.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to table. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay.
Again, is this the pay scale?
Yes. Next, I'm filling in for, in this case, there are questions that I can answer more than Dana is here. This is in your packet. As you know, over the last few years, the council has employed or followed the policy of doing wage studies and adopting the salaries based on what the market dictates and so forth. In your packet, you have an Excel spreadsheet, and there are two different categories. First category at the very top, the ones that are in green, these are employees who right now, based on the new salary ordinance and the wage scale, are being paid below the minimum. And HR is requesting two things. First is that top group that we come back at a later date to amend the salary ordinance to bring those individuals up to what the minimum would be. The bottom half of the spreadsheet are employees who, based on the wage study, are being paid below the midpoint. Is that correct, Morgana?
They're not in equity. Like, some of those people have been here for 4 or 5 years, and if you bring the people in the top, for instance, up to the minimum wage, then you've got a compression of the grid because you've got people who are here 3 or 4 years and they're almost getting the same salary as people who have been here that much longer.
Who is Green Circle Equity? I mean,
That's just the term that Liz used in our, it's just from the wage study that we did.
Meaning the green on this page, bringing them up to the minimum.
Yeah.
That's what, because remember we had some redlined, or red circled, whatever.
Like, those folks in the green, they could quit their job, come back and be rehired, and they're going to make more because they're going to be being paid the minimum.
And the problem we have when I spoke to Kim is we've already had some new hires, and they're making more than the people who've already been here.
Which creates a real, I mean, I think,
Compression on
it could
Right.
potentially have a legal issue, but it creates also I think, a real morale problem within the department.
Les, what is is it to start it, if it's approved, to start it now? Are they wanting to go all the way back to the beginning of the year?
This is not coming from the employees. I mean, this is just, I think HR believes in
What's
fairness.
HR's recommendation?
I think our feeling was start it now.
Okay. So
Get everybody at a level playing field. Well, we're going to have to come back and amend. I mean, I think right now we're just...
Information?
Yeah, I mean, get a consensus from the council, and if there's a consensus, then we will come back at the next meeting to amend the salary ordinance.
Les, could you explain to me again the top, the green, and the bottom?
Okay, the green are the people who, based on the existing salary ordinance and the pay scale, they're being paid below the minimum.
Okay.
So if somebody's hired in today in that job, say if Scott and I are in the same job and I quit, he's been here, the person who replaces me is going to be getting paid more.
All right, I get that.
Okay.
Now, what's the bottom?
The bottom ones are what it would take to get these employees up to where Liz says they should be based on the wage study,
Experience.
correct?
Based off their wage study, years of experience.
Based on the market study.
And the top part we've done with everybody else in the city.
These are the
So,
last.
I mean, I'm
people.
supportive of that, but my question is, if you bring these people up just to the minimum, and they've been here a few years, aren't they going to fit in that category below?
If you notice, there are a couple like 602, 603, they're also in the bottom.
I see,
because
okay.
they need
We've
to
accounted for that.
Thank you.
We needed to be equity,
Good,
we needed to get
good.
the equity done there.
Yeah.
Is it, do we know, is there money within these departments' budgets to absorb that?
I'd be surprised if there's sufficient money to cover all those.
Not right now.
Do we have, is there money within those budgets?
How is,
My guess is, I would say
It
no.
would depend on which department they come from.
how is this going to be presented for approval? Are we going to approve bringing these green circle employees up and then approve this bottom?
I sort of view it as two issues.
I think it is.
Okay, you've got the top tier of those people, because I think that's, to me, a real problem. Okay? And then you've got the ones on the bottom, which,
Include some of the ones on the
yeah,
top.
and I think it's
Then they need to be
a
corrected.
problem when you hire a consultant outside third party to take the politics and to take those issues out of what the wages should be for these employees, and instead base it on what they would make in the market based on their experience and their qualifications, which that's what that policy is supposed to do with this wage study of this independent third-party consultant, and that's what the bottom is. So,
Les,
it's either,
speaking for myself, I support the green move, and I would like a little bit more discussion in between the red. I'm a little on the mid-range.
and I know this is not the first time those people on the bottom have been brought up before the council, because I know I've sat through at least 2 meetings with this Liz, what's her name, Liz Gross, and she's brought these up.
And there have been others, I'm just going to remind some of the New York Council people, who were in the mid-range, and they have already been moved up. Some people that would have been on the bottom if they had not have been corrected either. So these are the last ones to be done.
We've either had people promoted to different positions or leave City of Jeff altogether, so that's why they're no longer in.
In the salary grades from the old grades, though?
I'm not sure.
No, those are the new grades. That are on there. 1A and 3 and 4. Those are the new grades. These are people who are left, who are below minimum. They
gotta
did not
pass. We've gotta
approve-
pass.
They did not approve this portion of the salary ordinance to begin with. They approved the pay grade, but not the...
Make it retroactive.
That's what I'm thinking. Well, or to the time that we pass this, for the other employees to be brought up.
Seems like the green ones are a no-brainer and make sense. The other one, it seems like there's a little hesitancy,
That's what I'm
especially if you have to
talking
bring it back
about, the
3
new
times
one
or
that we
whatever,
have.
yeah, and there must be
Couple,
something
so there's
missing or there's not support for it. So, I don't know, I guess I would recommend bring up the green, split the two up, and I think the green one would come through. That's just me speaking, I don't know. But then there would be discussion, maybe the bottom part would move through too, I don't know, but obviously there's more apprehension on the bottom part there.
I'd like to, I agree. The green, I understand the minimum, but the bottom, I would like a little more discussion on it. I don't know. The mid-range.
So you just looking for direction?
Okay.
We were just kind of fussing and discussing over here, but I think the green, you almost have to make retroactive to when we initiated the salary ordinance, to be fair. And it's not going to be that much, but it would make it fair to the employee.
I can support that.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it makes sense. I mean, I think that is the fairest.
But the money's
That is
still...
the fairest way to do it.
The money is probably still not going to be in their budget.
I understand.
So we're going to have to end up moving some money around in order to get that, especially if we go for the full year.
But I'm like Ed, I would support the green, and let's discuss a little further.
And maybe
the
have a
mid-range.
workshop on it or something.
Yeah.
Do you want, what's her name, is Liz Gross at the workshop?
No, just
or-
Kim.
No.
Okay.
And the reason is, I've seen her bills, and let's just have Ken.
Do we need that motion, make a motion to support using this table, the green, and the green?
Why don't I do this? Why don't I do,
No.
why don't, I just need to roll, why don't I do this? Why don't I do two ordinances? Okay, one ordinance with just the green, and then an ordinance with
So, in between.
the other one.
That's fine.
Make it retroactive.
And make the green retroactive.
Yeah, if we're gonna make it retro, it doesn't really matter.
And I guess it would be best to make it retroactive to the date, the latest salary ordinance was
Yes.
passed, correct?
Yes.
That's fine.
I think that's fair. So I think.
And are we
Dennis
asking
is
for a
right. That's fair
workshop
way to do it.
before our next meeting?
Well, at some point, we can, but I'm a little uncertain on the others. I want to look at that a little closer, but anytime, I mean, they don't have to be an official workshop. I can stop in and talk to.
Okay.
Okay,
You want to do that,
Anything
Lance?
else?
that's fine.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Merkley, you're up again.
All right, the next item was
Georgia
removed.
Crossing.
I'm trying to get, I'm now into part two here. Next is a rezoning matter. This is for property at Georgia Crossing. It's a petition made by Sprigler. I'm not sure, is someone here to represent? This received an unfavorable recommendation at the Planning Commission.
Unfavorable?
Yes.
Yes.
It's,
Basically, in a residential area, and they're wanting to,
put concrete.
their offices for Sprigler Construction.
I tell you, go ahead.
Go ahead, I'm just trying to ad lib because I've got to.
You're just trying to fill space?
I'm trying to, this is,
I did speak with David Blankenbaker probably a week ago, and I told him that I didn't think there was support for that right now, the way it was turned down, and I think that's why they're not here.
There was a lot of opposition.
Should we just table that then?
No.
yeah, you're going from a basically multifamily, small to medium scale general commercial. You've received an unfavorable recommendation unanimously, 7-0 at the Planning Commission.
And one of the things you have to keep in mind is this entity may not be here after you rezone it.
Right.
But you open the door up to any C1 can go there, buy it, and operate. They have that right to operate. So there's a lot of C1 options that would disrupt the neighborhood.
Exactly.
Right.
I think this needs to be a public hearing.
Public hearing.
Oh, is there a public hearing? Is there anyone here to speak on for or against this rezoning? Seeing none, public comment is closed. Does anybody have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve in anticipation of voting down 2013 OR 36.
It only takes one reading, rezoning.
Okay. On the only reading.
I'll second.
Okay. Have a motion and a second to pass 2013 OR, what is it?
36.
36. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are you in favor of it?
Oh, no.
Motion is to
I got it.
approve.
Okay.
I'm yawning over here.
Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye. Let's do that again. All who disagree? Aye. Okay.
We did it
Motion
so well the
fails.
first time, a month ago.
You what?
We did it well the first time we did that too,
Yeah.
2 meetings ago.
36.
I get confused on them.
And then Mr. Merkley?
Next, this project has been on the drawing board for quite some time. It even dates back to the prior administration. There's been various versions of this agreement. I think we finally have this ironed out with the school corporation to make the Thompson Lane project a reality. This is actually an agreement with the Department of Redevelopment, but it's my opinion that the fiscal body of the City Council would have to adopt a resolution to approve this agreement. It is basically put the stoplight at Thompson Lane, to put an interchange there. The school corporation is giving us the right to use the property in front of their old school administration building for the road, so we connect with Thompson Lane, stoplight there. The road would go in front of the old school building and then connect on the other side to give access to the high school, as we all are very well aware. That is a very dangerous area for the school buses during the school year. Also, a berm will be put up on the other side so we don't have any accidents with anyone running over the football players or the soccer players.
I'll make a motion to approve 2013 R27.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 2013 R27. Is there any other questions or comments?
Just one question. Leslie, have we looked into only utilizing this light during the coming and going of the school hours? I mean, will this light be used?
It'll be used all the time because
24/7?
it'll allow for better access to Thompson Lane on the other side.
Because there's a big subdivision.
There's apartments back there and
They're going to
You know,
open up that
subdivision
apartment
back there.
complex to Thompson Lane when the light comes in.
I was just asking.
I know.
I love
It's
driving
another
down 10th
light.
Street now. Just another light would just tickle me to death.
I know.
You want to go into the break?
We may be able to put art on the signal.
What's
Yeah,
that?
there you go.
Put art on the signal
Art on
box.
the signal box and would stop, where we can stop and look at it. I'm sorry,
Plan
go ahead.
plan is this project goes to bid in late February, early March. Construction starts in sometime in April, early May, and hopefully by this time next year, that will be completed.
I'll just note that I have a group of 3 or 4 people now that call me every time there's a new light put up on 10th Street and thank me.
It's me. I just hide my number.
Aren't they supposed to be synchronizing them at or not?
Well, they're supposed to be. They're not.
They're not.
They're supposed to be. It was a discussion, we discussed that in Board of Public Works last week.
I have a motion and a second. Any other questions, comments? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
One quick thing, Mr. Lewis, on this, I do have a copy of the agreement. Should I, since nobody else has signed it in the school corporation, should I have the president go ahead and sign it, or wait till we have the copy of the agreement signed by the school corporation?
Since they approved it,
Okay. Okay.
I think school board is meeting tonight.
I just wanted to make sure.
I mean, they have the signature page.
I think she's made all the signature pages separate.
Well, yeah, they've got our president of council, but
Yeah.
president
Yeah, and redevelopment's already approved it.
they have approved it.
Did they sign it?
Well, I think we're waiting for Monty. I think
Oh,
someone was
okay.
going to take it to Monty, yeah.
And then once,
We need to get Connie and Monty's signature on the same page.
right, and then I'll need a copy of the full executed one with the school board.
Yeah, whenever they, yeah.
Okay. All right, Mr. Merkley.
Next is the interlocal agreement approving, this is the first major step to consolidation of the 911 system. This has been going on for quite some time. Earlier this year, I attended the meeting and advised that would be my recommendation, would be prudent for them to set up a steering committee because nothing was getting done, and the steering committee has met several times, and this is the agreement that they've come up with. Basically, it establishes a fiscal board, which would be in charge of the money for the consolidation, and that would include 2 representatives from the city of Jeffersonville, 2 from the town of Clarksville. The representatives from Jeffersonville want to be appointed by the mayor and want to be appointed by the city council. There would be 1 representative from the city of Charlestown, 1 from the town of Sellersburg, 1 from the county commissioners, 1 from the county council, and then the operations board would appoint 1 representative. That would be the fiscal board. Next would be the operations board, which would oversee more of the day-to-day operations of the 911 consolidation. It would include the Jeffersonville Fire Chief, Jeffersonville Police Chief, Clarksville Fire Chief, Clarksville Police Chief from Sellersburg, the Police Chief from Charlestown, Clark County Sheriff, and a County Fire Chief appointed by the County Fire Chief Association, and then the Clark County Health Officer. And I know Mike's been involved in a lot of this.
I was on the steering committee. We've had quite a few meetings. Dr. Burke chaired the meetings, and this was basically it's, you set up two boards, a fiscal and operations. At some point, when this is all finalized by all the municipalities, that's when they're going to really get into the meat of this whole consolidation. But that's the gist of it, is really the two boards.
And Mike, in your experience, these other communities are okay with this as of?
Everybody that had representatives on that board, it went very well. The bottom line is it's the LOIT money and your 911 money that you get from the state, which is slowly decreasing because more people are going to landlines versus your hard lines or whatever. I mean, they're going to cell phones versus landlines.
Right.
So this is a consensus of everyone was there, and there was some disagreements, but there was always a consensus, and it worked out. I was pleasantly surprised on how well everything
That's
worked.
why I asked. I was.
Make a motion to approve 2013 R28. Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 2013 OR 28. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, next is another rezoning ordinance. The petitioner is Van Cleef Heating and Air. This received a favorable recommendation from the Planning Commission. It's going from R1 to C2, so from residential to commercial. Property is located at 2032 Hamburg Pike. There are some representatives with the petitioner, Van Cleef, so I will turn them over to them. This is a public hearing.
Okay.
Good evening. My name is Warner Van Cleef. I'm the owner and president of Van Cleef Heating and Air Conditioning. We're a small heating and air company currently located in Georgetown, Indiana. I started my business 15 years ago and have been in the heating and air business for a total of 27 years. I grew up in the Jeffersonville area. I went to Parkview and Rose Hill Elementary School, Jeffersonville High School, and then went on to receive a bachelor's degree in engineering from Purdue. I've been looking for office space in the Jeffersonville area for quite some time, and this Hamburg Pike location seems to be a perfect fit for us.
If I could say something, it got a favorable recommendation, planning and zoning, and when you look at changing zoning, you don't look at the business that's really going there or the person who owns it, although appreciate you being a Jeff person and you're looking to invest here in Jeffersonville, but it makes total sense. This is in my district. No one complained about it. It makes sense that it should be a C1. With that, I'll make them, you gotta go ahead and go public hearing.
Yeah, public hearing.
I
Is there
just wanna
anyone
move
here,
on.
is there
Okay,
anyone here to
fine.
speak for or against this project, this rezoning?
This is on the corner, isn't it?
It's across,
Across from you, right?
Near Mike John's Airport.
no, it's across the street. Okay, since public hearing has been closed, motion
Yeah, motion, what's the number?
37.
Motion to pass ordinance 2013 OR 38.
Second.
37.
Oh, I'm sorry, 37. Second.
I have a motion and a second to pass ordinance 2013 OR 37. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed?
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Motion carries.
Welcome, thank you.
I've got this as being 37. Oh, and we voted it down.
Then finally, another rezoning ordinance. This is, the petitioner is Springhurst Investments, property located at 308 East Chestnut Street. They're requesting that this property be rezoned from an M1 to an M2. There was an unfavorable recommendation, 6-0 at the Planning Commission, and the petitioner is represented by Bill Smith.
Good evening. My name is Bill Smith. I'm attorney with the law firm of Keitlinger and Gray. I'm here tonight. I've already spoke to council. I would simply ask, after talking to my clients, that I ask that we table this for the next meeting because we are discussing potential uses of the property and whether or not it would be necessary to proceed with our request to have it rezoned from M1 to M2. But I understand the favorable recommendation, but I would simply ask that, pardon me?
It was the unfavorable recommendation.
Correct, yeah, unfavorable recommendation, but I would simply ask that today's resolution or today's ordinance decision be tabled to the next meeting.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to table.
Question.
Sure.
You want to table because you're not sure that this is the change that you'll need?
Well, two reasons. One, we may look at a different use, but secondly, we are looking at what's going to be better for my client, whether it's going to say M1. What's interesting here, M1 allows more uses than M2 in a lot of different aspects without special exceptions.
Right. I just wonder if we go along with the unfavorable recommendation and turn this down instead of tabling, then what would be the point of tabling?
They'd have to go through the process again.
Well, if they're not going to change to M2 anyway, they'll still have to go through the process again if they want to
Well,
change.
but there would be, the scenario, it's really the logistics of the situation. What we're asking is that there may be a situation that we don't want to proceed with the M2, and therefore we would pull the application ourselves at this point.
I understand. Okay.
But if for some reason they still want to move forward, then they don't have to go back to...
Right. Then we just have to come forward again and...
They can come right here then.
Why wouldn't we want them to go back before BZA?
But in front of planning and zoning?
Yeah.
If it's turned down, Les, don't they have to wait so many
Correct,
months?
6 months, I believe.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
it's turned down by the planning, zoning, and the council, or just one or the other?
Well, it's
Council.
the council's
Council.
decision.
Council actually,
Correct.
you're the body that resolves, not the planning board.
And we would just like the opportunity to see, to assess the situation, whether M1 will be suitable, or whether or not we really need to proceed with a request for M2 zoning.
What is the benefit of you pulling the application over us
Turning it down.
turning it down?
6 months. Our right to possibly refile if we need to. I'm just trying to be transparent with the with the council.
I understand. I don't know that there's support for this to pass. And if I motion to table this and you pull your application, then you can come back in, 6 weeks or so. I don't know that it's going to change the end result.
Well, I mean, I don't know.
I know that
That's his call. He's the one bringing it to us, and then he says, please don't vote on it tonight. So I respect that. We're not pushing it, they're bringing it to us.
He has time to do a little more due diligence, let him do it.
All the question.
Okay. I have a motion and a second to table. It would be ordinance 2013 OR 38? Yes. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Do we have any public comment? Ms. Scott?
Public comment?
Public comment.
Most of the people, the ones that have been commenting on zoning requests, raise your name on their bill.
Dennis,
Dennis Odd sitting there.
oh, but he was with, Mr. Ott, did you want to speak, or were you there on behalf of the B&C? You're fine? Okay. Pass that. All right. Council comments. Councilperson Smith.
I have none.
Councilperson Stopney.
No comment.
Councilperson Payne.
No comment.
Councilperson Gill. No comment. Councilperson Glover.
Nothing.
Councilperson Julius.
Good.
Councilperson Owens.
Let's go home.
We've got an executive session after this. Councilperson.
Yeah, let's go to
Samuel.
that. Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn. The second.
Second.